Most people are just plain wrong about how to be happy. And that's sad and kind of ironic because it's one of the things people want most. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the myth of happiness, where true lasting happiness comes from, and the little secret you need to know to have it sneak up and blossom in your life without really even intending it to. And after the discussion, we get to the most important part. The group frequency calibration associated with this episode is where the frequency work happens and where change actually occurs. So be sure to listen to that. Without releasing distortion patterns targeted by the GFC, the change you want will be more difficult to attain because you haven't addressed the root of the issue. If you like this episode, please help us out by hitting the like button and leaving a comment below. It helps us to get our content to more people like you. My name is Karen Cheong, and today in Mastering Your World Through Frequencies, we're talking about being happy.
I'm going to say I think that everybody, well, a lot of people are wrong about happiness.
Uh-huh.
And I believe that happiness is a result of something.
Uh-huh.
What do you think?
Well, I agree too, because I think that a lot of people chase happiness thinking that they can acquire it. So meaning if they, have that job that they really have been striving for a while, or that title, then they're going to be happy. Or if they, have that house or that perfect partner or achieve awakening or whatever the thingy is, then finally they'll be happy. And it's really funny because I heard an interview with Russell Brand. He was talking about awakening, and he said, and someone asked him, well, why do you want awakening? He said, because I want to feel good. I just want to be happy. And I thought, well, that's kind of fascinating that he's associated awakening with happiness. So I think a lot of people believe that the acquisition of something will create the state.
Yeah, and just to add into what you're saying, that happiness is something that will elevate their feelings.
Yeah.
I know that we generalize happiness as a being or being light and full of levity and that. Mm-hmm. But somehow it's like a gold coin. When they get this happiness, everything will be different.
Right.
Not just to achieve the thing to get happiness, but somehow when they feel happiness, everything will be different.
Yeah, exactly.
The world will be different.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Yeah. What do you believe?
I do believe that happiness sneaks up on you. Mm-hmm. I believe that when the internal work is done, and by that I mean the clearing of the distortion patterns, because when I started to become aware of my distortion patterns, and the millions of them, and the millions that are still there, but the main ones that held me in a place of not feeling levity, so like victimhood and entitlement and expectation, they're just a few.
Yeah. When
I started to clear them and move them away, happiness kind of snuck up on me.
Totally. Yeah, it's right, because it's a reflection of your resonance, you see. So what you're talking about is when you're releasing these distortion patterns that are heavy, that keep you bound really in your mind. Because the thing is that I think most people forget is that happiness is a state that you experience when you're really present in the moment. It just like you said, it creeps up on you, but you can't be thinking about something else. You can kind of manufacture it, in the sense of, I daydream about this moment in time where I'm going to achieve this thing or be with this person or I remember this time and then I'm happy in that memory. But it's harder to experience it in the now if you're distracted. Make sense? If you're somewhere else, if you're in expectation land, if you're not present in the moment, it's hard to feel happiness.
Yeah.
So by releasing your distortion patterns, what you're doing is you're actually clarifying yourself so you can actually be more present and then experience happiness right now without any frills.
Yeah.
Right? So you can experience happiness just having a conversation.
Yeah.
You can experience happiness walking your dogs. You can experience happiness having what you would call a cuppa. And the funny thing is, it's those moments where we kind of smile to ourselves. I love that when that happens. I don't know if anyone ever has this experience, but if you're driving along and you see somebody and they're kind of smiling to themselves, they're just happy for no reason. You don't know what their experience is internally, but they're just happy. And for me, it makes me smile because I'm like, oh, that person's just happy, for whatever reason that they're happy.
Yeah.
And it's really lovely.
Yeah. And coming back to for me, the point of when it snuck up on me is my outside world. The daily run-ins didn't really change much.
Exactly.
I still had to take my kids, first of all, make them breakfast, then take them to school.
Yeah.
And then walk the dogs, and then do work or whatever. But I was happy. doing it.
Yeah.
Whereas before I was like, oh, I've got to do this.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of, this list of, poor me, got to do all these things. Now I was just like grateful that when I was doing it, I was kind of enjoying it.
Yeah, exactly. Right, because you're more present doing it. And it's funny what you mentioned about expectation. The funny thing about expectation is that it pulls you into a future that doesn't exist, right? Because here you are expecting something to happen, right? So with your mind, you've constructed what it is that you feel should be happening. And as soon as you have a should be, it makes your actual experience less than.
Yeah.
Because it's never going to match the should be state.
Yeah.
And so expectation totally hijacks happiness.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, it's like I've in the past created situations like, we'll get this person and we'll do this and we'll do this and then we'll be happy.
Yeah.
And then when it happened, I felt nothing but stress and panic and worry and anxiety because it wasn't moving the way it should be moving. I never felt happy once.
Exactly. Or like I remember when we were in real estate and we'd put on events for clients, you know, and I thought, oh, it'll be fun because I actually really liked our clients and I thought we'll have all these people here. It'll be a fun gathering, etc. But because I was like, as you said, stressed about like, oh my God, is a cheese plate running out? And, you know, I had an expectation of what the experience should be and what they should be experiencing and how I should be and what I should be looking like and how I should be dressed and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Honest to God, like it was really difficult to relax.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the bloody thing.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that happens a lot with people's weddings.
Yeah.
I think that happens a lot with people who are, especially brides, who are, you know, it's like built up to be this like moment in your life where it's like totally glorious and you'll remember it forever. I'm not saying it can't be, but there's so much expectation like piled on to these, you know, women who are trying to like have this ceremony that it can be hard to enjoy.
Yeah.
Do you want to actually begin to clear the distortion patterns we're talking about? Then click on the link in the description below to get the free group frequency calibration meditation specific to this episode. That's where the change actually happens.
Okay, so let's talk about it then. Let's break it down a wee bit. Like, I'm saying it's a result of something. I think you're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
That, you know, once you clear your distortion patterns around what's holding you back from just being present in the moment, which then leads to this natural state of happiness.
Yeah.
So what would you recommend then if somebody's sitting there right now and they are suffering a little bit for depression or, you know, their life feels really kind of flat and
meh.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and who can blame them with the state of the things are right now in the world?
Yeah.
What would you say? What would you say then? What's the first thing you'd say? Right, come on.
So the first thing I would suggest is to be aware of the distinction between sort of transient happiness and a really deeply fulfilled satisfaction and happiness that comes from recognizing your own wholeness and completeness.
Okay, so tell me the differences. How would you describe transient happiness?
So transient happiness is something that we all experience when we achieve something that we've been wishing for. Okay, so when you get that, new computer, when you achieve the job title, when you meet that person that you have butterflies about, you're happy. I mean, it feels good. You've achieved this thing that you've been wanting for a while, and it feels really lovely to have that. But the thing is, if you've noticed, that happiness doesn't last very long.
Yeah.
So are you still delighted by the new computer? Yeah, but you kind of forget about it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and you have to kind of be like, oh, that's right. I have this new computer. I'm going to, it does all this really cool stuff. And you'll have moments where you're like, this is really great that I can do this because my other computer couldn't do that. But it's not like this long lasting thing. It's more like, anywhere from a few minutes to maybe a couple of days, depending on what it is that you've achieved.
Yeah.
That's what I call more transient happiness because it's dependent on an external thing happening.
And would you say that transient happiness is unstable?
Yes.
Like it's easy to get knocked out of it.
Yes.
Whereas that sort of internal strength or the happiness that just kind of sneaks up on you, it's there like a root.
Yeah.
It doesn't get taken or knocked as easily.
Yeah. And you can tell that by just as an example. So let's imagine you have the new computer and someone says, nice computer. How much did that cost? Mm-hmm. And you're like, and then you feel like you have to defend yourself. Now, not everyone would have that response, right? But if you have the distortion patterns where you have non-deserving or whatever it is that you're running, you might feel that as like a sting, especially if that relationship with that person is kind of fraught with that kind of dynamic, let's just say. Yeah. But if you're experiencing this happiness that's really profound, you have this really lovely sense that you're whole and complete already, that you are connected to the oneness, that you are intrinsically part of it, that you are beloved. So everything else is kind of gravy, right?
Yes.
So you feel happy just because you exist, really.
Yeah.
And if you get the new computer, like, sweet new computer. So someone says, like, nice computer, how much did that cost? And you're like, well, it costs this, and I'm super grateful that I can afford it now because I'm at this position where I can. It's totally awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can sit in your, like, ownership of your happiness because you don't have to, as you say, apologize for it. There's no distortion around it in the same way. Not no distortion, but less, let's just say. Yeah. Enough less that you don't get knocked out of your center.
Yes. Okay. So now that we've established the difference, what would you then say to somebody now? Like, let's take that first journey towards real, long-lasting happiness.
Yeah. So the first thing is to release your distortions. So I would actually recommend the centering into the 0 point, GFC, which you can find on our website, or just watch episode 151, which is all about the 0 point. And then there's a GFC, as you all know, at the end of every episode of the podcast.
Yeah.
So listen to that GFC. Why? Why does that matter? Because if you're scattered and you're feeling like overwhelmed by life, by people, what's going on in the world, it's easy to feel like victim-y and disempowered. I mean, it's very reasonable given the state of the world. And it can also be very easy in that state to worry about, a future that doesn't yet exist. Really difficult to experience happiness if you're like all over the place like that. So the fastest way to feel happiness is to come into your center, meaning present in your body in this moment in time, which doesn't sound challenging because it isn't really. But, you can forget to do it like in 5 seconds,
For example, driving your car from A to B and then halfway along, you realize that you're not actually aware of what you're doing. You've gone off somewhere, what am I going to have for dinner? Oh, I think I'll cook this for dinner. Then you come back into the car like, wait, uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Or, how many times did I used to drive to work when we were working in San Francisco, and I'd get to work and I literally would not remember the drive.
Yeah.
I was off, I don't know, thinking about, like you said, dinner, the client, what I had to do next, whatever. It's very easy. And even, sometimes when we're working, it can be easy to be distracted, like all these different things coming in, notifications, ping, 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 all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So really difficult in that state to feel happy. Yeah. Because you're just being pulled in all these directions.
Yep.
So the first thing I would recommend is to come into your center.
Come into your center. And as you said, you have 2 tools, especially right now, that they are ready waiting.
Yep.
Okay.
Totally.
Okay. So then what would you do after that? What would you say to somebody? Right. Okay, I've done it and I'm still not feeling happy.
Yeah. Then I would say start to notice the things that trigger you. Now, I think that's a kind of a weird thing to suggest when people are like, well, I want to be happy. I don't want to focus on the things that piss me off. Thanks, Karen. Great suggestion.
I spent all day noticing it. Thank you. Yeah.
Exactly. But the thing about being triggered is that you can notice what it is that you're sensitive to. Because what you're sensitive to is not what your friend's sensitive to, your mother's sensitive to, whoever else. It's yours. You're sensitive to it.
I was just going to say, part of that triggering too, it's not just noticing what's being done to you, but it's noticing that it's your trigger.
Exactly.
Hello.
Exactly. You're the one having that response that is heightened.
You're having that reaction.
Exactly. No one else.
Want it? It's time to let go if you don't want it.
Exactly. And then people, it's funny, it's people will focus on the thing that caused it, like they did this, that shouldn't have happened, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I'm still feeling pissed off. I'm still feeling not worthy. I'm still whatever it is.
Indignant, self-righteous. And now I'm going to find my friends to help me feel even more indignant and self-righteous because if we come together, I'll know I'm right.
Exactly.
They agree with me.
Exactly. Yeah. And we'll share the story of other moments where they've been triggered. Yeah, so it can escalate like this.
Yeah.
But the gift of being triggered, and we've talked about this before in an episode about being triggered, so watch that if you haven't. But the gift of being triggered is to notice your response and to be like, why am I having that response? Because not everyone shares the same response. I know we sometimes feel like everyone should be as indignant as we are about this thing, but the truth is they're not.
Yeah, totally. And sometimes that can be the toughest part.
Oh, totally.
Right? It's tough sometimes to look inside and say, oh no, this is mine.
Yeah.
When everything else around you is screaming, no, it's their fault.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's not my fault.
Yeah.
It's not my fault.
It's not my fault. That's
I'm
another
like
way.
this because my mother did this to me when I was 3. And look, I'm not saying that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because it happened.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you have a choice now
Yeah.
as to how you respond. And to release the distortion patterns that keeps you in that state of disempowerment, having to find an excuse for your behavior, looking to a past thing. And those things are horrible. Like what some people have experienced is really painful.
Totally.
And really damaging and very wounding and really terrible. And the thing is, it has happened and you can clear those patterns.
That's
so they
right.
don't have power over you anymore. Because the thing is, I know I'm not blaming the victim.
No.
It's about what can you do now to release that power dynamic that has held you in that position of victimhood until this point.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And I think that comes back to another point. It's how do you really want to be different?
Yeah.
Right? And are you ready to make the changes?
Yeah.
Because it means letting go of story.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If something has happened to you as a kid that you were completely disempowered, could not do anything, you really truly were the victim.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been carrying it for all these years, and somehow you've shaped your identity and the justification for being alive almost.
Yeah.
You know, I'm here because this happened to me, and you know, I have value now.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to let that go.
Yeah, it's hard.
It can be super hard.
Yeah.
You know? And I guess the big question is, are you ready?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because it's funny, like you said, we can really attach to being the victim. We think we want the empowerment.
Yeah.
But some of us are like, man, it's like you said, your whole story of your life and who you are and who you think you are and how you've chosen your friends and how you relate to people is based in that frequency.
Yeah.
And the thing is, to change all of that is terrifying in a way because it's totally different. So it takes courage to do this. And I think that, as we said, being aware of what triggers you will start to lead you down that path.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, what am I aware of that's within me that I need to release so I can have a different experience?
Mm-hmm. All right. I know for myself, when it happened for me, I had the big question that was in my mind was, who will I be without this story? I don't know who I am. I only know this Fiona, this version of Fiona. And will I be lovable without that other version? So, like, we have those kind of 2 ideas and steps and pointers, but then what happens after that? What would you say ultimately now, after we've done them 2 steps, what would you offer as a third piece of advice for somebody that does want to continue?
Yeah. What I would say is to cultivate your relationship with the one. Now, it's not like it's never there. It's been there forever.
Yeah.
It's always been there. You've always been part of the one. It's always been part of you. So I just want to put that out there. So it's not out there somewhere in like awakened land and you're striving to get it because you're not perfect enough, because that's not true. Your relationship with the one has to do with your own very personal, very intimate connection to pure source.
Yeah.
And your awareness of it. That's it. And once you clarify that, happiness creeps in this funny way. Because really, when you start to cultivate that, you recognize when you've released enough of your distortion that you are beloved exactly as you are.
Yeah.
And it's not about being perfect, like I said. And it's not about trying to do something different or, doing some like ritualistic, I've got to do all these different things and then maybe I'm going to be worthy. It's recognizing that you are beloved exactly as you are, and you have the opportunity to optimize your experience as a human.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, can you make things more awesome? Yes, absolutely. Can you make your life feel more glorious to you? Absolutely. And it's all about that cultivation of that relationship with the one that has always existed and will always exist, and really clarifying it. Because when you have that, that's when you feel fullness and completion. And it's a weird thing to say, but it's like you don't really seek anything else after that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like complete, full stop, And then it's like, well, can life get better? yep.
And everything that comes thereafter is just like these little gifts everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
oh, look at that. What?
It's true. Everything else is gravy, and you get to enjoy the gravy or the icing or whatever it is that you like to put on things.
Chocolate mocha icing.
Yeah, exactly. Or whatever delicious thing you want to experience in life. And that's when you get to start to experience more of the magic, the synchronicity. And that happiness that you talked about at the very beginning is there. I'm not saying you're constantly in this elation state. Okay, so let me just make that super clear.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like that. But
no, I don't think it is either. But it's more stable.
yes.
It's just concrete somehow now.
Yeah.
And then it's an easy space to find, even if the humanness creeps in and kind of, not that you lose it, but you get caught up in the humanness. And then there's like, wait, where's that? Oh, there it is again.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
Yeah. I'm just having one of them human moments. Oh,
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, or I'm getting sucked into this pattern, or what am I to learn from this situation? And I feel like, as you said, that happiness is, because it's intrinsically part of you, you almost expect it to be there because it is there.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And that you, as you say, can get swept up in those experiences or those situations that are stressful that we grow from. And you can still, even in the challenge of it, find the like, it's going to sound totally bizarre, but like enjoyment or the satisfaction of transcending.
Yes.
You're like, yeah.
Yes. I did it. Exactly. You didn't beat me.
Exactly.
Yeah, right?
Which is kind of a different, to me, form of happiness.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it brings more happiness.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So to me, happiness is a spectrum. And as you say, this happiness state is something that is like your floor. You know, like everyone thinks of happiness as a ceiling.
Yeah.
Like once I achieve it, then, you know, I achieve happiness. It's up here and then it's going to make everything in my life different. But what if it were your floor?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, but this is like how my normal state.
Yeah.
And of course, there are things that are going to happen that you respond to in your life naturally. But this is like almost an expectation.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah. Yeah. All else fails, cross your legs, sit on it. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you remember.
Yeah, exactly. As much as we could want happiness and to be in a higher resonating state, man, sometimes we can just get so triggered by what someone says or what they did. Or worse, we get super triggered just by someone being themselves, regardless of what they say or do. To help you navigate the reality of getting triggered, check out my next video. I'll see you inside.